Oh yes, it is time. Picks and bans game number 1 between Samsung and ESC Ever. The Nidalee first banned hit the board.
Bless's strongest champion from the jungle. A lot of junglers, of course, favoring that Nidalee, but it's champions like Ashe that I think might shape this draft. Varus we spoke about, but Ashe is a pick that's been banned 6 games in a row against Samsung. You might think, why? Of course, Ruler, new to the AD carry role at the highest competitive level. Ashe and Ezreal have been his most effective champions, but if you just look at this team, the only even pseudo-initiation champion Samsung runs are Ashe and previously Maokai. Maokai out of the meta. Ashe and Ruler shouldering so much of that initiation. I think it's a strong ban against them, and obviously ESC Ever agree. 7 games in a row that Ashe has been banned against Samsung.
Well, Ashe has been such a big pick in general lately. I mean, the teams have gotten really good at using that long range, hard engage, and so I think we're going to see a lot of Ashe bans season-wide now. Vlad banned against Tempt, probably a good idea considering how good he's been on that champion lately.
Look
Gragas
at this.
the last ban.
So Gragas, only 2 games from Ambition this season, was 2 victories against Samsung. So against ESC Ever, sorry. So clearly Ever remembers and have decided to ban away that Gragas. Sivir has risen this week. This is the 2nd series we've seen her as a first pick, even though Karma is available. So teams at least shying away from the first pick Karma, but still the movement speed been highly prioritized. But that leaves up 2 of the most powerful meta picks for a couple of weeks now. The Shen is a given, but Ryze, especially with Vladimir banned, is taken over forever, and that's the solo lanes locked up in the first 2 picks.
You'd really think, too, that with Temp being as good as he is on Vlad, you know he's good on Ryze as well. We've seen that. And so, kind of a risky thing, but when you've got to ban out all this other stuff, champions like Ryze do start to slip through.
Now, my question is, where will Crown go dealing with this Ryze? Because if you think about his champion pool, a champion like Cassiopeia is something he plays very well and can do very well in lane.
True.
Malzahar is a pick, which we saw in the top lane from Trace. That was interesting to see against the Shen. There's always an off chance that Q will be running here. There's also a chance we'll see it in the mid lane. Fly has always had that Ryze counter pick in the Malzahar, and Faker has been spamming in solo queue. And whenever Faker is spamming a champion, every other mid laner in the world takes notice.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. So it's going to be Rek'Sai and Alistar locked in, so some good engage on the Samsung side in the form of Battle Cattle.
What will this mean for Bless's jungle pick? Nidalee and Graves gone, Rek'Sai now taken away, so that's pretty much been the top 3 meta junglers. Maybe a jungler like Graves, but that's not been a favorite of Bless. He prefers to be more impactful with his choices.
Saving that till last, you gotta wonder. I mean, Kindred is still available, I guess. Graves, like you mentioned, is an option too.
But if you're gonna save it to last, if it's MVP, then you're expecting the Amumu, right? But when it's ESC Ever, it could be something a bit different. So I'm excited to see where they go with the jungle pool. It's always been about the peel supports for both these supports. Alistar does have an element of peel. They're gonna go with the Braum, which has been another favorite of both Key and Wraith. For solo laners, we saw yesterday, of course, Gangplank top against Shen. It's been played around the scenes. Shen doesn't apply a lot of lane pressure, so you get away with more risky picks like the Gangplank. But there's still risk to it, like we mentioned. It's still going to be very much a gankable lane in the top lane. So what sort of pressure can ESC find from the jungle?
So Kuve with his first Gangplank of the season, and Crown with his most played champion this season in the Victor. And the final pick over to ESC, I mean, you could go with the Elise, I guess. One of the nice things about Bless is that he does have a pretty big champion pool. He's played 7 different champions this season already. So kind of take your pick,
Well, Elise has been his most played, but certainly not his most impressive. I haven't found a lot of wins with Elise. It's been Gragas and Nidalee, which, of course, 1 banned away by them, 1 banned away by the enemy team. So we'll be forced to go somewhere else. We've seen some Kindred, but it hasn't necessarily been the most convincing. I really don't like it against the Vladimir pick like we saw yesterday, but Vladimir's not on the board this time. Still, when you're in a team fight against the Sivir Ricochet, against the Gangplank barrels, and just the AoE from Victor, it's so hard to position as Kindred because you want to walk up and do damage, but then you're going to be squishy and you could be exploded. So it's quite risky to go for the Kindred here, but Bless is kind of forced into it with so much attention to the jungle pool gone.
I think so too, and I mean, if you look at another option like Graves, I mean, who's Graves really going to blow up in this particular case? It's going to be so hard to get onto the Victor, onto the Sivir, so yeah, Kindred, like you said, probably something that he just feels forced onto.
If we get to the late game, both Ryze and Shen will bring up the tankiness that obviously Kindred won't be providing from the jungle. Braum as well will do a job Really interesting draft from both sides, but the question is Cuvée. He ran this top lane gangplank in the past. It's been decent, sometimes it's looked good, sometimes he struggled. Kind of been the story of Cuvé's career. He needed to find some carry top laners on 6-12, just like a lot of other top laners. These tank role players need to find their carry pants, and how the gangplank performs will obviously dictate to a large degree how this game develops.
Yeah, well, I mean, the other nice thing with Gangplank into Shen, too, is that even though Gangplank can't follow as easily, his ultimate can at least. So it's a way for you to be there, kind of have quote-unquote double TP presence, even though you really don't have the same, you know, stand united that Shen does. I like it.
A lot of late game investments. Gangplank, expensive build from the top lane. Ryze, expensive build from the jungle. As has been the case recently, the early game will dictate it, I think. If they can get Cuvée ahead, Crazy might find it hard to lane against the Shen, and team fights, Shen's always been a team fight specialist.
Yep, we'll find out. Game number 1, Samsung versus ESC Ever. Let's see who jumps out to that early lead. Well, Papa Smithy, guess what?
What?
We have a pause.
So we jumped into a pause, sadly. Not into a game, but...
Oh, but we might already be back in the game. Never mind. Just a momentary break. There we go. Okay, so ESC Ever versus Samsung. Game number 1 here in our first best of 3 of the day. Samsung looking to kind of climb back into things. I mean, it's been rough recently. And they're going up against an ESC team that kind of gave them a run for their money just a couple weeks ago and has looked a bit stronger since then. Well, maybe a lot stronger, I guess, after beating SK Telecom.
Some interesting commonalities and differences that the statistics bear out between these two teams. The Dragon is an interesting one. Samsung's actually number 2 for picking up first Dragons, so clearly in the league, of course. So clearly a big priority for Samsung to pick up those Dragons. If you get enough of them, can really help out the late game team fighting phase that Samsung has always been focusing on, especially this season in those first 5 series.
Sure.
However, they're number 9 in first turrets. That lets you know how their early game is. Ever, on the other hand, is basically the opposite. You know, they're right up there in terms of first turret, but not been prioritizing the Dragon at all. So they've had very different contrasting styles in that. The only commonality between the team is Baron control. These teams are number 9 and number 10 in the league for Barons, which Ever's been struggling, so if you're losing, you're probably not going to get many Barons. But Samsung as a team that went 8-0 with the first 8 in the first 4 series, it is surprising to see them number 10 in the league for Baron.
Yeah. Well, somebody's going to have to try to get a Baron this series. So somebody's stat is going to improve. Maybe.
Ever actually goes for the double wall hop here, looking for a contest on the Gromp. They've not spotted at all.
Yeah, Wraith and Ruler might be in a bit of trouble here. Here comes Key, Loken, threatening anyway. So they do force the Samsung duo off of the Grump, but no Braum passives or anything like that. So just kind of trying to keep things even going into lane, and they will do that.
Usually you lose a lot if you're forced to skill the E first as the Lucian, the Relentless Pursuit, but if you're with Braum, of course, you can still get those passive bolts for the stun, so you still have offensive options if you're skilling what is usually an escape.
Yeah, I mean, the double tap is really what makes this, you know, lane effective at the super early levels, I suppose, and they've still got that.
Cuvée actually running 15 armor pens, so going to go for heavy armor penetration in this build. So the standard build for Gangplank's changed a lot. No more crit planks, sadly. That's gone out the way, so probably not even going to be an Infinity Edge picked up.
What's Monty going to play then?
That's true.
That's all he played.
It is all he played. That's why he was happy to see an impact pentakill on the Gangplank, but was so sad that it was the tank plank in that famous All-Stars game.
That's true, yeah. Well, early gank on the Tempt, a flash on Burrow, forcing the flash from Tempt as well. Rune Prison in the turret will get that first blood for Tempt. Wow, I mean, it seemed like they were really reaching for that gank to begin with, and then getting caught under turret, that is not a good start for Ambition.
So the first instinct from Tempt was to back away, so he was already closer to the turret, and even though it was level 3 on the Rise, went for a very optimistic flash. Crown was not on the same wavelength, hadn't ghosted, which is usually the sign that he wants to actually engage, and then the second turret shot guarantees the kill for ESC Ever. Welcome to the second round robin, Ambition, and now could potentially have his blue stolen away as well.
Talk about falling into old trends. Ambition was known far and wide for giving up first blood in his games, mostly during his time as mid laner, but the past returns, I guess, in this one.
His jungle past, of course, is dying in the enemy jungle. This is just a
that's
hybrid of the two.
That's his jungle present, too, you realize. That doesn't change. He still, I guarantee you, Ambition will die in the enemy jungle at least once or twice.
So the way I like to think of this is that Crown was feeling super confident, and Ambition wants him to play hard mode. He's like, I'm going to give the enemy mid laner red, and you can deal with that.
I see.
So the confidence factor is going to, we'll see how Crown can do. Crown's still #1 at DPM, or damage per minute, in the league. So his carry pants cannot be doubted. He's had an excellent season so far.
It's true, man.
But Bless is going to be really on the road to level 6. 3 buffs. Kindred always rips through the jungle. Ambition going to very much be on the back foot.
So you're saying Ambition is kind of like Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? When he's training Luke Skywalker on the Millennium Falcon early in A New Hope, and he's like, now try it with the blast visor down. Luke's like, but then he did it. He used the Force and he deflected those the bolts. Maybe Crown can handle it.
I agree with the start of your metaphor, but that would make Crown Luke Skywalker, which to me, but if you think about it, you look at the guy. He's got the earrings, so he's more of a puckish rogue to me. He's more of a Han Solo type.
I don't think Han Solo had any earrings.
He didn't, but it's still the flair that you would expect more of a Han Solo than necessarily a Luke Skywalker.
Sure. Kind of his earring is sort of Han Solo's snazzy vest.
Yes, exactly.
All right,
that's what I'm going for.
It's a reach, but I'll give you that one. Let's see. A little bit behind Tempt and CS right now, but overall things could be worse. Not much worse, of course, with Tempt getting first blood, but they could be worse.
Well, any champion that has an expensive build path, like the Gangplank and Rise in this game, accelerating them, honestly, just brings those break-even times earlier and earlier. The Rod of Ages, the Seraph's Embrace will both be completed early because the Rise was able to comfortably pick up that first buy. He actually went for a Doran's Ring just for a bit more insurance in lane, both mana regen and health, to get through any turret dives.
You got that tier so fast that you might as well, you know. Here comes Bless. Gonna put some pressure onto Ambition here as he runs away. And that Braum passive starts to be a little bit of a concern. The exhaust goes down. Looks like they can't follow up onto that. So Summoner really used for not a whole lot. Meanwhile, Tempt taking some damage in the mid lane.
I hit level 6 from the extra experience that was donated over by Ambition. So just went for an early salvo.
Why not? And crazy on this Shen has been forced back a bit, of course, by the Gangplank. You'd expect that.
I mean, Shen exploded as a pick. We saw people trying out the Shen in earlier patches, and it just wasn't working. Then finally we saw the big wins with Shen, so everyone kind of goes back and they're like, wait, what can you run against Shen? And Trace had an answer. It was the Malzahar and Perma pushing in the Shen. That worked to a great degree. Carries are also possible, so we may even see the return of top lane Kassadin at some point against the Shen. We're seeing the Gangplank this game. You know what I'm waiting for, Doa?
What?
I'm waiting for the Singed. The Singed was always the famous lane counter pick, and we're probably not going to see it so susceptible to being lane swapped on, but Singed was my favorite Shen counter pick, and I just want to see that mad chemical man back.
It's been a long time since we've seen Singed, but it sounded like you had quite the chemical romance going on there. Is it your chemical romance, you'd say?
You nailed that one, Doa.
Well, how would you describe that chemical romance?
It'd be my chemical romance.
There we go. That's what I was looking for. Okay, thank you.
See, I didn't think we needed to spell that out, but
I thought,
we'll
you know, why stop there, man? We'll just keep going. Made it happen.
Well, Shy will be playing in our second round robin. There is a man
that's true.
who is known for his Singed.
It's true.
And Flame's back, so Singed play outside Jan.
Is Flame really back, though?
I mean, he's on the squad.
But is he really back, though?
I mean, 2014 onwards, Flame is still around.
He's on a team, yes.
He's not the same carry force, no.
Whoa. Cull those minions. Yeah. Show them who's boss.
Riot has some really great names for ults. The culling, I think, is great because saying that Lucian culled someone is an awesome saying. Slicing Maelstrom is one of my favorites, very descriptive name. And then there's Rat-a-tat-tat.
That's pretty, yeah.
I mean, they had Spray and Pray, but they were like, no, Rat-a-tat-tat.
They're like, see, because he's a rat.
Oh.
Get it?
I get it now, though. You've explained it adequately.
Never would have gotten that otherwise.
But yeah, just one thing just to finish off on is the Gangplank build. It used to be Trinity Force, IE, and Essence Reaver, so 40% CDR, critical strike. Now it's Trinity Force still, but with the 20% CDR, you don't go for Essence Reaver, so it ends up being Youmuu's Ghostblade, maybe a more Mount Mortius, CDR boots, and that Trinity Force. So you're not going to be getting the big crit Qs, but it does open up your build path, and it's a little bit cheaper. And a cheaper build path for a carry is relevant, as, speaking of relevant, ESC going for a very aggressive campaign.
Yep, they'll grab the blue buff, give that one over to Bless, it looks like. Had to smite it away in the end. But any sort of stealing does certainly help. I mean, that Victor without the blue buff has certainly hurt a bit.
Still will be able to wave clear aplenty, so not a big cost. But if it just means that Ryze feels less pressure, there's less auto attacks on Ryze's turrets just because the death ray is up less, so he's pushed into his turret less. All those little advantages can really help the picture for a carry mid laner like Ryze.
Sure. Very true. Well, Ambition is in the enemy jungle right now, so maybe it's time to die?
Seems like Bless has been playing around the top side of the jungle, and obviously Gangplank has had pressure on Shen, who pre-Sunfire can't hope to push in, so for now it's not been punished.
Yeah, I don't think they know he's there. Back down again. We neglected to mention it is a Mountain Drake for the first Drake of the game.
Well, given the stats, Samsung's interested in the Drake, and ESC Ever is definitely not. So ESC Ever has had the pressure advantage until Rek'Sai had flashback up. Obviously, she wasn't going to be poking around the dragon, so
sure.
ESC don't take Drakes, and Samsung have been losing, so the result, the Drake lives.
Wow. Life and times of Mountain Drake. It's pretty boring, I would imagine. It's kind of sitting in the pit.
Do you think the different Drakes socialize with each other?
Probably not.
I like to think that Ocean, Mountain, and Infernal are good friends, and no one talks to Cloud Drake.
Yeah, maybe.
Left in a corner.
The unwanted Drake.
Yep.
It's like, if only I was buffed. Too bad, Cloud Drake. Apparently people think you're good.
Cloud Drake had a theme song, it'd be Loser by Beck.
It's true. Well, no, because it's I'm a loser, baby, so why don't you kill me? But nobody wants to kill him. So I don't know if that applies, actually.
That's fair, that's fair. You thought that through, Doa. Thwarted again. Can you think of another theme song for Cloud Drake?
I don't know, man.
Everyone needs a WWE entrance theme, so what's Cloud Drake's, you know?
Whatever that song was at the end of Breakfast Club. Don't you forget about me. That's more like Cloud Drake's theme, you know? See Cloud Drake walking away from the rift, like pumping one of his scaly fists in the air. Because he's the only one that lived. Nobody, well, I mean, that's not how Breakfast Club is. Like, they all live. Nobody dies in Breakfast Club.
Spoilers!
I don't know.
I haven't caught that new movie yet, Doa.
Have you?
No.
The new hot movie, Breakfast Club. Well, yes, he's going to grab this Mountain Drake away from Samsung here. And like you mentioned, that's not too great. Well, maybe Ambition can steal it. No, by getting Smite. Prevent that one. Bless going in onto Ambition, who will go ahead and tunnel away.
We will keep a Mountain Drake as the second Drake as well. So
Guess so.
In terms of relevance to the comps, neither team is really centered around Mountain Drake. I would say that Gangplank has a pressure advantage in terms of swift push, so might be slightly higher priority on Samsung. Ryze will also get pushed in, so those auto attacks from Victor might be relevant as Ambition goes for his alpha move.
All right, well, I mean, it would have been more impressive to take the Dragon that way, but hey, we got the Grump. It's something.
Little victories.
Yeah. You know, the glass is half Grump.
I don't know if I want half a glass of Grump or a full glass of Grump.
I don't think I'd want to drink Grump at all. Oh, Temp takes a lot of damage. Cast Arm drop. That's going to pop the Stand United. Temp's going to flash in there. Flash from Crown as he tries to escape onto the wrong side of the map. And that's going to be another kill for Temp. Both kills in the game so far. Going over to that Ryze, and that is not a safe thing for Samsung.
Really nice timing on the roam from Key. He had the boots of mobility. His first big purchase and was necessary because the flash away from Crown, even though it was towards the enemy turret, was well timed. It looked like he had an outside chance of getting away, but Key has been really on form since he was solidified in the lineup. They were messing around with Totoro for a few series, but just like Samsung, they settled on Key.
Well, Ambition, it might be your time. Trying to escape to the Tribe Rush now. Cuvée tangling with Crazy as Crazy gets a taunt down. Crazy trying to get away though. There's a flash from Cuvée. And it looks like both of the Samsung players will escape for the moment, but they will have to recall. And it just seems like as the game goes on, even though the gold lead doesn't necessarily show it right now, the advantages for Ever are starting to grow bit by bit.
In the off-season, Ever added an extra top laner, so I thought the competition for Crazy would be on. He actually pulled off a really nice mechanic there that isn't commented a lot on these Shen lanes. He actually pulled the sword through the enemy, getting the bonus damage on the trades, and was actually with kill pressure on the Gangplank who had to flash away.
Yeah.
Small mechanic, but an important one, and Crazy pulling off the Gangplank, so the Shen, in an even more impressive fashion than I could have anticipated.
You gotta get that Blunty synergy, man. That's what we named Shen's sword.
Blunty?
Blunty, yep, because it always points down, never really appears to cut anything. So, Shen and Blunty.
I mean, Shen's been doing a lot of winning, so it cuts through the hearts of the enemy team, I guess.
Sort of.
I mean, I defer to you. You and Monte Cristo are the resident experts on Shen.
We are.
At OGN.
We've experienced Shen in every way you possibly can.
You've ascended to a level of Shen that not many people can.
We have.
Hope to get to.
We've become Shen.
It's true.
Uh-oh, Cuvé's about to become more of a ghost, possibly. Tempt, just zoning him out on the side as Crazy hacks away with Blunty. There's an ult dropped by Gangplank, and he's going to chill out. Gives Ambition time to come in. Tempt going to turn right onto that Rek'Sai, though. And then ult his way out of there. So they do manage to save Cuvée, I guess.
I mean, Cuvée is a god. Did you see his dance moves back and forth? Tempt had no idea how to come around, because the moment you choose to come either through the enemy turret or cutting through, the juke could come through from Gangplank. So really nice from Cuvée, who's done this before. I've seen him walk away from viewers on low health. Cuvée might have to commit here. Teleport coming in as well. Yeah,
that's right. Crazy very low right off the bat. Cuvée, though, stays alive, manages to heal himself. Meanwhile, Kindred popping the ult. Doesn't save her from Crown, but they do trade 1-for-1. Key picking up a bloodthirsty support kill there. It's going to be the first kill for Samsung this game. Going over to the mid laner, but Crown has died twice, so is Victor a bit behind. Logan trying to defend his top turret.
He's 1v2 with Shen ultimate.
Yeah, that's right. Crazy coming in off of that Stand United. Wraith, though, dodging the taunt. And ESC going to be happy with just pushing Samsung out of lane for now.
We won't get a replay, but that was actually impressive from Wraith. What he did was that he cancelled the taunt with the Pulverize and stopped a taunt flash coming through from Crazy. Crazy had flash available, but was stuck mid-animation, couldn't flash. That was really nice from Wraith, who once again looks impressive in the support role for Samsung.
Yeah. He's been looking good. I mean, it was puzzling to see them try out Core JJ. I mean, yeah, the first round is generally a time when a lot of teams will experiment with their roster, but I mean, Wraith is just so clearly better than Core JJ. I'd be very surprised if they swapped out at all for the rest of the season.
And that's the thing, if I had to compare the Wraith for Core JJ roster swap, the only one that comes to mind is EasyHoon for Faker, which tells you how much I rate Wraith, because Wraith, honestly, has been, next to Crown, the most impressive performer on Samsung, so it just seems unnecessary to swap out someone with such potential. Of course, then I'm calling Core JJ EasyHoon.
I was going to say,
that part of the analogy maybe we can just step away from.
I know EasyHoon went to China and all, but we don't need to be that mean to him.
Core JJ went to NA. He's back now.
It's true.
He did the counter rotation.
But I'm saying, like, are we upset with EasyHoon for going to China, and that's why we're comparing him to Core JJ now?
No,
does he deserve that? I don't think so.
I was just focusing on Wraith being the Faker of support, which also is a bit of hyperbole, but he's been playing very, very well this season.
We all know I'm actually the Faker of support, so you gotta figure that one out.
But see, the world hasn't found a way to lock down Faker's talents, but they managed to get you in the caster booth, so
yeah,
that at least gives other people a chance.
I took it in a different direction.
I could go with the Faker of casting. I could see it.
Well, I wouldn't have planned that.
Now you're Minnesotan. You're Minnesotan. What's the word?
Humility?
Humility comes through.
I am extremely humble.
You're okay being the Faker of support, but not the Faker of casting. That's an interesting dichotomy there.
That's about right.
This game has been largely uneventful.
Yeah. It has, but get ready, man. CJ versus Jinair is coming.
I wasn't going to make that joke. I thought of it, and then I was like, no.
I thought of it, and I was like, yes. All right, Mountain Drake number 2. Maybe time to be picked up by ESC Ever. Would certainly be nice. I mean, no turrets have fallen yet this game, but if 2 Mountain Drakes can be taken by Ever, that means that when they do get time with the objectives, they're going to knock them down pretty quickly.
Will Crazy actually invest in a damage item? The only damage items we've seen from Shen are 1 Trinity Force, and also last series, I believe, just before the end of the round robin, we saw Someday with the Titanic Hydra on Shen. So any sort of damage would be amplifying that Mountain Drake. It would help his split pushing, but needs to feel tanky enough usually before he's willing to invest in damage items with Shen.
I suppose, but I mean, he does have Sunfire Cape, and that damages everything around you.
But you don't burn the turret, Noah.
I guess. Not yet.
Future patch.
Spoiler. Whoa, okay. Loken just decides to kill Ruler. That happened. Hopefully we get a replay of that. I've got a feeling Ruler probably just stuck around a little bit too long up in that top lane after getting poked.
Well, something we haven't mentioned is that Key has been roaming. We've noted the roams, but Loken has been in lane 1v2 for the majority. This time Alistair steps away and he just solo kills the enemy AD carry.
Yeah.
Loken had one of those reputations. In Challenger, on the international scene, this guy has been a super carry for ESC Ever, and we're going to finally see a full replay. He just culls Ruler to death.
Okay. All right, well, he just pressed R.
Well, he had the Yomu's Ghostblade, popped it, only had a Phage at the time, and just killed Ruler. This guy has had a decent season, but his potential, his ceiling is among the top in Korea when it comes to AD carry role. He is an excellent AD carry, hasn't been performing, but looked good against SKT, and culling Ruler is pretty impressive as well.
He does seem pretty good. And he also gets the turret, too, so that's going to be the first turret of the game. It does go over to ESC Ever, and now they're going to jump out to a little bit of a gold lead. Only about 1,000, but the momentum is really on Ever's side right now. Man, if they can get the second Mountain Drake, that is huge.
ESC Ever's never been known for a strong early game, but they forced the 2v2 in this game, and Lucian in a 1v2, because again, Key was roaming, is ahead in CS, now has a solo kill, so they straight up crushed the 2v2 to the extent that Key could roam. And now they pick up a Drake in every way. ESC Ever has really been dominating this early game.
Yep, sure enough. Crazy, though, having a little bit of trouble defending this top lane turret. It will go down.
There's still Shen, so pushing him in is a very viable strategy.
True.
Looks like a trade of objectives, but they keep pushing on the Shen. No one is giving any help. Ryze hasn't rotated top, so they're going to look for a second turret, Samsung.
Gotta get something. Be 3v1. Meanwhile, Loken just poking away, takes that bottom lane down very quickly. I mean, you gotta, again, consider that there's 2 Mountain Drakes on the side of ESC Ever, so they can send just Loken into that lane, and he can knock down turrets very quickly.
Cuvée has been free farming on the gangplank, which is the big winning point for Samsung. Trinity Force completed, soon to be the Yomu's Ghostblade that I was discussing. So Lucian, despite being 2 items, will still... There's no guarantee he'll win trades against Gangplank, so he has to exit lane. They need to... It seems like Samsung, honestly, they'll keep up their trend of really bunkering in. They actually have a longer average game time than Jinair Green Wings, if you'd believe that, Doa. So they've been very much looking for the late game as well.
That is very surprising to hear.
But with Gangplank, Victor Sivir, their late game damage is just out of this world strong. So Ever needs to keep pushing the turrets, taking the objectives, stacking up Drakes. Because if this game goes even, just with the champions selected, Samsung will crush late game.
Well, I mean, they've been able to keep the gold pretty close, too. They're about 1,000 down, even at 20 minutes, even being down 1 to 4 in kills.
And the builds from ESC Ever will fall off to some degree as well, despite the fact that right now Yomu's Black Cleaver will, as you can see, explode people.
No kidding.
At 6 items, this build will certainly lose potency, so need to take advantage of those early timers, ESC Ever, otherwise the danger of being outscaled.
All right, well, Temp coming in with the Shen on top. Cuvée in big trouble, flashes out of the taunt, doesn't help though. Gonna get taken out anyway.
He draws 1 flash, Shen didn't have to flash there, so flash for flash and they get the kill. They'll keep pushing him bot, even though he's an AP champion, good AP stack and double Mountain Drake means that Tempt will be able to have a pretty respectable split push.
Also means they can do Baron pretty quick.
I mean, Kindred always been a Baron specialist. The moment they see multiple members here, they may try that Baron ESC ever.
Maybe. I mean, Tempt is down there along with Crazy, so it'd be tougher, but they both have the teleport.
Ambition also has the ability to global to top side as well, so it is risky to start the Baron. So for now, it's just a ward-clearing war for ESC ever. While Gameplay might have free farm, the worry is that Ryze is 11 CS up and with 3 kills. So while Ryze may innately struggle in the team fights, if you compare, say, Ryze and Gangplank, the big relevant factor is that Gangplank's barrels can really punish Ryze when he starts to get aggressive.
Sure.
Void Staff's going to be the next item. When Guardian Angel is completed, that's when Ryze can really fly off the chain compared to the Gangplank. So there are items that Ryze can pick up to answer Gangplank's natural team fight advantage over Ryze.
All right, here comes the teleport. They're going to bring in Tempt.
Brown
running away already. Yep, using that ghost, so Summoner for Summoner. And Ever just trying to be bullies on the map. Get some turrets down in the enemy jungle. Get set up for that Baron potentially. Meanwhile, Crazy TPing down to bot lane to try to stop the split push coming in from Kube. Can always stand united up to the top if he needs to.
Able to invest that second global in mid lane.
Calling again, Loken. Forcing Ruler out of there. Ruler, man, he immediately popped that Summoner heal, popped his Sivir ultimate. He knew he needed to get out. Remembered what happened up in top lane. Can't blame him.
Well, it's another utility AD carry. Remember, Ruler has played almost exclusively Ashe and Ezreal, so Sivir is a digression for him, and it's just not quite the same level of performance that we became, honestly, surprisingly used to in his debut, because Ruler was the outstanding rookie in the first 4 weeks of the season.
Yep.
Has struggled a bit since then. It's notable that SK Telecom really exposed the fact that he got a bit greedy for CS and was gankable during lane swaps, and then his extended champion build just hasn't been on the same level as that Ashe and Ezreal.
True. So ESC Ever, 1 minute until the next dragon comes up. I didn't quite catch which one that's going to be, but let's see if it's something important.
See, the way you do it, though, is when you don't catch it, you assume it's Cloud Dragon. If it's not, you can be excited.
Yeah. Ooh. ESC going for a bit of a sneaky Baron here, coming over the back of the pit.
So
and
far
they
they
can
have
do that
no
so
idea.
fast. I mean, look at that. Just Kindred and Lucian, and they are wrecking this Baron. Other members join now, and that's going to be just an easy Baron pickup for ESC Ever.
Super sneaky Baron. We mentioned the Kesper Cup before. This was the duo, honestly, there. It was the top laners with the ability to jump walls and Kindred who could duo Baron. Such was the power level of Kindred then. Lucian, Grom, Kindred, and Shen can all jump walls.
Yep.
Very nicely done. They had exclusive vision in the area. Now the split push, double Mountain Drake and Baron buff. Shen is going to be very potent in that split push, and ESC Ever, they needed to keep the foot on the accelerator, and credit to them. They definitely have here in this game.
Cloud Drake, hey, you were right. What do you know? I guess you should just assume Cloud Drake, huh?
It's the glass half cloud.
Right. I'd rather have half Gromp. I'm spotted by a ward there. And ESC Ever, I mean, you don't really need this Drake.
I mean, you got Baron buff. The enemy team's not going to contest it, so you might as well take it.
I guess, as well.
It is also Kindred who explodes objectives like that.
And it's, oh, we didn't get to see what the next one is. Oh well, we'll assume it's Cloud Drake. I learned my lesson. And Ever just slowly grinding down Samsung. But do you think maybe it's a bit too slow? Are you worried at all about this late game?
If they hadn't made the Baron move, absolutely. If at this point they had no Baron, they hadn't grown their lead, you would say so. But they've done exactly what they needed to. They needed to take the Baron when they did. They got the Drake as well. As long as they can push some turrets, will they be able to break an inhibitor against the strong wave clear? Remember, still, Victor, Sivir, even Gangplank's pretty good with the wave clear. Maybe not, but take all the easy objectives. Ensure that there's no wards for Samsung because they can't push out. Take the next Baron, and that's probably where you can close the game.
Sure. I mean, overall, ESC Ever has looked, in my opinion, really clean this game.
This is the ESC Ever we saw against CJ Entis, and that's why at the time I was like, top 3 in Korea is possible for ESC Ever. They struggled since then. They looked to really not have a grasp of the meta as it stood, but the SKT series and now this series, they're finally once again showing the innovative moves they did previously.
2 Mountain Drakes and Baron means turrets are going to fall very quickly.
323 CS in 28 minutes and a kill will do that too.
That's pretty good, yeah. All right, mid lane tier 2 in trouble as well. Samsung trying to figure out if there's a way for them to fight this, but they're not finding it at the moment.
There's just so few things or few bits of experience that Samsung get access to. It's very much the scraps, whereas ESC have almost complete control of every jungle camp and also the minion waves. Keep pushing, keep trying to take these objectives.
Crazy got that Gromp. I saw the gold. The Gromp gold was gotten.
Get into the Gromp.
Whoa, Tempt just dropped the base or something, man. I don't know. I don't know what that was.
And wow, I thought Void Staff was indicated by the blasting one. Nope, Tempt has gone for a death cap, so very expensive damage build.
Wow, and it's so huge how Loken can just make Ruler use the Sivir ultimate just by popping the calling and going towards him.
Loken is
scary.
An unbelievable AD carry. It hasn't showed this season. I think some of the champions in the meta haven't favored him. The Ashes and Jins of the world without an escape doesn't allow him to show his teamfight mechanics, because when he plays Sivir, he doesn't have an escape but has, you know, the spell shield that you can be really on point on. When he plays Lucian, he's so smooth in teamfights. He's so good with his teamfight positioning, and he's not as much of a utility AD carry outside of that Sivir that most other AD carries in Korea are.
It's interesting comparing the AD carries on ESC ever and on MVP, because they couldn't be more different. You know, Maha is basically terrible close range, but put him on the Ashe, put him on the Jhin, and he's been looking pretty good lately.
This Sivir is also decent, but again, more about the utility for his team.
I think the farther Maha stays away from the opponents, I think the more the better MVP does, you know?
But you just think about Korean AD carries. You know, obviously a lot of good ones went to China, as we're seeing another salvo from Loken, but the best mechanics last year were OQ, and OQ, of course, is gone now. I think Loken is probably the most impressive mechanical player. Those Bang and Pray definitely have their moments. They still recently have gravitated away from some of those risky AD carry picks.
Oh, Tempt gets spotted by Crown in the bush there. Meanwhile, Key gets picked. Sand United coming in. Braum ultimate onto Ambition. Loken right there with that Lucian exhaust onto that Rek'Sai as well. Bless coming in now with a lot of bouncing damage from that Rise. Meanwhile, Crown actually manages to win the duel with Tempt. That happened. And Loken on the run. Samsung may have found their moment. And look at this, starting to turn things around. Bless gets caught. That's a double kill for Kube now. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
But this is the issue, though, is that if you walk into Cannon Barrage, if you walk into the linked barrels, and clearly if Tempt face checks this Victor, the damage on the side of Samsung can't be denied. ESC were playing so well around being forced to 5v5 teamfight, but they got a bit too cute. They thought they were far ahead enough to fight these fights, and if they were 10,000 gold ahead, absolutely their items would carry it through it. We noted a couple of times, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 gold was the lead for ESC ever, never a blowout, and the gold just gets closer after a couple of extra objectives. In fact, a lot of extra objectives go over to Samsung.
Yeah, well, let's watch that fight again. Now, we know Tempt got spotted by Crown.
Yeah, we saw that first trade, and we didn't think much of it, but look at that damage from Crown. The ult and E almost instant kill him, and when you have Ghost Flash compared to just one escape summoner, well, goodbye. 4 spells enough to take down the Rise, as this is after ESC is already super overextended. If you watch, the combo fails, but the barrels don't. 771 damage, and this is where specifically the Kindred is going to have to be so careful. The reason why I don't like Kindred against Vlad, and in this game against the likes of Victor, Sivir, and the Gangplank, is that with the builds as they are now, you build almost no defensive stats as Kindred. Gone are the days of Sterix Gauge, gone are the days of any sort of tankiness, so you walk up, and when you're in the middle of a fight trying to poke for damage at 500, 550 range, a chain link barrel comes before you can twitch ult and you're dead. So positioning, especially now that you can only self-ult with the Kindred, when you're against a lot of AoE damage, you almost have to preemptively ult because you can't twitch 1,000 damage when you have 1,500 health.
Seems that way. Samsung kind of clawing their way back into this game. Next Drake is a Cloud Drake.
See if Ever can really think their way through, because they played so smartly before that last play, and they certainly haven't fallen behind in any grave terms. In fact, gold is even in 33 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with the strength of Samsung's late game, that is kind of essentially Ever falling behind, isn't it?
True. We're well ahead, and have certainly lost out in the gold in the past 5 minutes. Both Drake and Baron spawn at the same time. A lot of globals in this game, so certainly one team could try to solo one down while maintaining vision control.
Meanwhile, Loken, Stand United has to be used. Keep that AD carry alive. Cuvée drops the Gangplank ultimate, but Loken still gets away.
You saw he actually cheated forwards because he didn't want to walk through the Gangplank hold damage, and he had the Shen next to him to relieve any pressure, so that was smart.
Yep.
Let's see how these 1v1 trades go on the side lane, because this is getting close to the time where Cuvée should really be able to do some work against the Shen. Has the Last Whisper item in the Mortal Reminder, so this is the newer build path from the Gangplank. From here, it's pretty situational. It's probably going to be the Maw of Malmortius, and then maybe Guardian Angel is the final item for Gangplank.
Makes sense.
While this Gangplank build definitely hits the power faster, Trinity Force, cheaper item, Yoma's Ghostblade, much cheaper than Essence Reaver and Infinity Edge, it's not 6-item Gangplank of yore. You don't have the crits to really explode people, so worth noting that you don't hit the same crescendo in the late game that you used to, but you're online earlier, so theoretically, you don't have to AFK farm for 30 minutes of the game.
True. Well, Baron's back up again, has been for a little while. Samsung's going to go for it. Ever not really in position to contest this right now.
They're taking the Drake, or at least they started it. Now they are aware of the fact that it's going down, but they have no way to know how fast. Samsung do pull away, though.
Yeah, playing it extra careful, so Bless going to turn right back onto the Cloud Drake for now. Cuvée is there.
They have a ward on it.
Whoa, big engage from Wraith. Going to try to knock Loken back. Can't quite do it, though. Loken still gets low anyway. Manages to pick up a kill. AD carries are traded, but a double kill comes in for Crown. Bless drops that Lamb's Respite. Keeps himself alive for just a little while. Samsung, though, coming out ahead in a big way in that fight. 1 for 3. They're going to get the Drake, and they could theoretically go for the Baron. Yeah, I think that's a better plan. They're going to turn around away from the Cloud Drake. I don't think anyone wants to take a Cloud Drake over a Baron here.
But ESC's decision-making is so stubborn. They must have had an inkling there was a ward around that Drake. They didn't invest a pink. We're seeing an emergency ultimate here on the Shen. They're going to try and contest this Baron.
Yeah, crazy. Wow, he manages to get the taunt on the Crown despite the flash. Tempt gets blown up immediately, and I don't think they're going to be able to stop this Baron. I mean, they are fairly low health, but all right, they let it go. Crazy had the GA, but he didn't want to use that to try to stop this Baron. I felt like maybe he could have gotten a kill.
There's no damage, though. That's the problem, is that it's not going to be damaged. This is really nice from Wraith. Yeah. Sivir into buffering the headbutt on a minion, then flash pulverizing, punishes Loken. He gets a 1-for-1, which is more than he should have, so he at least took down Sivir. From there, Bless is late. It all comes back to the previous move, though. They were so stubborn at soloing down this dragon, even though the first time Samsung started Baron, and of course that could be that there was no vision there, but the moment you see Cuvée put down a barrel, it's saying, yes, there is certainly vision here, and Samsung thought out the situation in a more intelligent manner than ESC, who were all at sea. They didn't have vision, they weren't grouped, and they were heavily punished. And we're in that late game point, though, and this is where Samsung, more often than not, take down their games.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Got to be frustrating forever too to come, so close to closing this game out, and now the momentum shifted in a big way. It's tough.
Forcing things down.
Yeah, no defense for that tier 2 turret. Cuvée taking a ton of damage though. Manchester United, there's a flash. Oh, he gets him. In the end, meanwhile, the engage comes in on ESC Ever. Lamb's Respite right away. Keeps 3 members alive. Braum ultimate may wrap up Ambition up, but no, there's a big double kill for Crown immediately as that Kindred ultimate runs out. And that's another big team fight win for Samsung. A triple kill for this Victor. And this may be about it for game number 1.
Crown did unbelievable damage in that AoE. When we see the replay, you will see it, but his DPM #1 in the league. Some people just make this Victor eke out that much more damage. We say it with Someday about Maokai. I think we have to start saying it with Crown about this Victor. Apologies to Fly, he does a pretty good job as well, but even though they got the pick on their Gangplank, it meant nothing with the AoE damage on the other 3. And it's going to be game 1, like you said, going to Samsung.
Yeah, they have to defend against Loken, who does represent a good amount of damage, but they can zone him well enough that Nexus is vulnerable. So how about that, man? I mean, 3 Dragons going over to ESC Ever, but in the end, Samsung hold on and take the game at the very end. GG.
ESC Ever may have leveled up their early game, but they make a critical mistake which opens up a window to a late game that honestly it didn't look like Samsung would ever get access to.
I mean, look at the players. They know they kind of got away with one there. I mean, that's the kind of smile that's like, well, we probably weren't going to win that one.
They're relieved, honestly, and they should be. And ESC Ever, Longzhu were the team that gave ESC Ever basically drafted late game, drafted risky comps, thinking that ESC couldn't punish them. And ESC's gotten better since then. They punished Samsung in the early game in general, but then they made their mistake. And Samsung are the kings of late game. It's pretty much the only place they fight confidently. The longest average game time in the league, 38 minutes, actually much lower than that average game time. But when they got that little chance, they took it with two hands, and now they find themselves 1-0 up in the series.
Yeah. And it's a heartbreaker for ESC Ever because they were so close.
Victor does 8,000 more damage than anyone else.
It's a lot of damage
In this game, and Lucian was doing a lot of damage if you remember, so that gives you context for how much damage Victor did.
Yeah, well, I mean, if anything, I think this means we're in for a good series. It was a close game. Samsung played to their comp strengths and were able to come out with a win, and no doubt frustration on the side of ESC Ever, but it's a best of three. You've got a chance to come back. It was small things that meant the difference between victory and defeat, and we could see a close series.
Yeah, Bless 0-4-2, probably been their most impressive performer. I wasn't convinced with the Kindred, certainly not convinced after the game as well. So maybe a slight tweak in picks and bans, but Ever had a good early game. They have a good foundation. They just need to capitalize on it better than they managed to in game one.
Yep, so when we come back, game number 2 between Samsung and ESC Ever. A chance for Samsung to get a much-needed 2-0, and a big chance for Ever as well to tie up the series, move it to game 3, give themselves a chance to set up what could end up being some sort of a playoff run here in the second round of LCK Summer. We'll be back after just a few guys. Don't go anywhere.